Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Level Up podcast.
Hello.
It's episode 23.
We're up to 23, big MJ. We're like keeping them going down. Yeah, there we go.
So this week's topic that Huey found was 1981.
You wake up with no signal, no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and it wasn't a problem.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how we, I think the last podcast, when we were just basically sort of delving into nostalgia and, youth and, when we were younger and toys and stuff like that, and it got me thinking that things were a lot simpler back then.
Definitely simpler.
Things were simpler back then. It's fine to say, basically, just sort of, go back and visit your childhood, but easier said than done, especially with how fast life moves today. So, what we thought we'd do is basically have a podcast and, sort of investigate, what would it mean to basically sort of to go back, 20, 30 years, and basically, do away with all of the trappings that we have today. Internet, cell phones, iPods, connectivity, and figure out, let's just have a general discussion and see if it's even possible to go back there. So, so take this journey with us, right? We're just going to basically investigate. This is our investigation of where we are now to where we were back then.
For sure. So the first question is, what was the biggest advantage of growing up before constant connectivity?
I think for if you're looking at it purely from a social standpoint, you made more effort into connecting with the people in your immediate surroundings, right?
Yeah. And it was a much smaller circle.
And you had your family there, or, whatever your version of family was. And so I think a lot more care was basically placed on those relationships. Right? Because that's pretty well what you had. Whatever you had in that 5-mile radius, between school and soccer, that was your world.
Like you didn't know what was going on over in Europe, in Asia. You didn't know any of that.
No, it didn't touch different. You. Yeah, today you have a really vast understanding of, if something happens halfway around the world, you're going to get it pretty instantly on some kind of, media feed. So, yeah.
Okay. So the second question, sorry, I'm not prepared for this today, honestly.
That's okay. You're doing fine.
Is why did boredom in 1981 actually make us more creative and self-reliant? Or self-sufficient?
Well, I think back in 1981, you could sort of, go back to what our answer was for the first, question. I just think really our understanding of the world was a lot smaller and a lot more defined, right? I think we basically had very limited sources of content, corporations, television, we literally got all of our content spoon-fed to us from major organizations.
True. And now you have the ability to go do your own research and explore and look into the things that or the sources you want to go into.
Google made it possible that, and, I remember several years back, I wrote a blog on this. You literally have genius level information in your device, in your cell phone, in your iPhone, in your, in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Right? Literally anything you need to know or want to find out, it could take you 30 seconds to do it. So that changes things.
Yeah.
That makes you a lot smarter than you might have been back 30 years ago, back in 1981, because, you'd have to go and grab an encyclopedia if you had them, right?
Yeah.
Or go to the library.
That was the work you had to do after you got home from school. It was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we'd have them on the shelf. And that was the go-to.
Yeah.
Check the encyclopedia first. And you're like, Okay.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you wanted to learn something, or if you just wanted to fact check something, you literally would have to go and source it
Yeah.
in probably a library. Now
Yeah.
you pick up your phone, you
Yeah.
know.
You got that and so much more there.
So I mean, just for scale and just for accountability, I think that changes a lot of things. Because I mean, you just weren't you didn't have to be smart back in 1981, but you know today because of the readily available information highway, you know, a lot more is expected of you. Let's just say, right?
That's true.
I think that's something that basically defines this generation. They call it the knowledge based generation. You know, we know more, so we have to actually do more. We're back in 1981.
Yeah. We had limited knowledge.
Well, not everybody was, in a position to say go to higher education. So, if you chose not to, it would be understood that okay, you're not going to be doctor, lawyer, accountant, or a professional or whatever, but you're going to go into a vocation that would have you. Here, you don't really have those boundaries. It's like, what's your excuse? Well, today, what's your excuse?
Yeah. Yeah, right? It's totally different.
It's totally different. So I think just because of exposure to information, so much more is expected of individuals today. And even kids, young kids. I mean, the stuff that kids know at like 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right up until, their early 20s. I don't think adults in their 40s and 50s knew that stuff back 20 years ago.
No, and they can just pick a topic and keep delving into it.
Yeah.
Like something that interests them.
Yeah, and it's a never-ending source of, information, with the internet and with, case studies and, just literally there's gigabytes and megabytes and bytes of information available for human consumption, and it's readily available.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's very different in terms of access to information. That I don't think we had the access to the type of information they have today.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so question 3. How did relationships differ when communication wasn't instant or constant? No read receipts, no ghosting, no genuine effort. Yeah, you didn't really get ghosting back in the 80s.
Well, yeah,
or not to the same extent that you get it here.
Well, I think, I don't know about this whole ghosting culture. I do know that, sort of back then, you didn't really have as many, like literally you have thousands and thousands of, doesn't matter who you are, of options of who you want to basically spend your time with.
Yeah.
So today, the minute you see something you don't like or you basically deem inappropriate, you could walk away. Whereas years ago,
you could block it, and that's
you could block it, and that's the end of that, and there'll be like 10 or 15 other options just sort of waiting. It wasn't like that, back then.
No, like even like such simple things. Well, I wasn't big into video games, but back in the day, you would have a friend come over and you would play video games together. Yeah. Whereas today, you can be playing your video game with anybody in the world.
Oh yeah, you could be playing with somebody who's in Eastern Europe or anywhere, absolutely, and form a friendship based on that.
Exactly.
Right?
So, in that respect, I think today is better because you can have more ability to connect and meet people.
Yeah, well, I think what it does do is basically it unfortunately, I think, it sort of takes away on our, need to basically, really put the work into our present relationships, our arm's length relationships, when we have choices that we could be. If we don't find what we're looking for in our city, we could go to any city in the world. If we don't find what we're looking for in our country, we can go to any country in the world. When we were growing up, and I think back in the early 80s, it wasn't like that. No. You literally had to, like, I want to do one podcast eventually, and it's called The Art of Saying I'm Sorry. Like, it was a huge deal for me and the circle I grew up in. Like, if we did something that, like, we went to a party, and something sort of went down or whatever, or we acted in a way that was just not kosher. We basically, next day, I remember basically, like, if I was at fault, I'd wake up and I'd be like, listen, dude, I'm really sorry about my behavior. That was inappropriate. It was out of line, and all my friends were like that.
Yeah.
But no one says sorry anymore.
Not even when they knock into you.
No, people don't say sorry. Sorry is not a thing. Sorry is lost its meaning.
True.
That's, and I think that's a big... sorry basically says, I know what I did, and I own it, and it won't happen again. By not saying sorry, to me, it's kind of like, well, yeah, it might happen again, so, I mean, that's just one of those things that differentiates today and, back in 1981, because I think, you used to see stories of, kids who basically their kid, somebody's kid would bully a kid at school, and then the parents would get involved, and the parents would take the kid. Up. They would take the kid. They would go over to the kid's house that was bullied with their kid and say, apologize.
Yeah, do it now.
Do it now.
Timmy, why are we here?
Yeah.
And then Timmy's like...
It meant something. So, because you cared about maintaining those types of relationships, like you cared about your public image.
Yeah, and it was more important because those were the only people you interacted with.
Those were the only people you interact with, and chances are those are the people that you're going to interact with for the foreseeable future. Today, you don't have to say sorry because chances are you're never going to see that person again, and especially if they're online, you simply block them.
Yeah, it's like done.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, question 4. What did privacy mean in 1981 compared to now? We didn't document things like we do today. Like everything's videoed, photographed, posted online. Yeah. Instantaneous. Yeah. So that's a big change.
I think back in 1981, we didn't have that much to be private about.
Yeah, true.
Like I don't, it's not like there were, platforms where you shared all your information and it was mostly, just your your relationships. And if you were a letter writer and you were writing, letters to Susie, in grade school, and then those letters got out and so, Jimmy loves Susie, that was the extent of the exposure. So, today we share everything online. Like basically, whether we know it or not, just participating in any kind of social media, we're putting our information out there for the world to basically gather. Every time you click anything online.
Yeah, somebody's tracking that.
Right?
So they learn your habits.
They learn everything. I mean, if you order online, if you're like, well, I don't do much online, well, do you order negligee from Victoria's Secret?
They know.
That part is basically very telling. I mean, they can basically pick up on just things like that. Then they could basically form a picture on who you are just on, your purchases. And so I don't... in terms of privacy, I think we gave that up once we basically clicked I accept. And how many times do you click I accept in a year?
A lot these days.
Yeah. And so every time you click I accept, it goes part of the data pool. I mean, they know more about you today when it comes to, big, deep tech than you know about yourself.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
They know you're going to have an itch before you start scratching. Right? You ever see in your feed sometimes you're thinking something and basically it just comes up, you're like, how did you know? You know me so well.
Exactly.
You and I
just
joke.
What I needed.
You and I joke about it, but it's serious. It's so serious. It's serious stuff. But answer to the question though, I think, it has its benefits. It really does. You have choices. You have options. But your privacy is gone. Yeah. So if you are basically, looking for any type of privacy today, you go live under a rock, because once you enter into this digital age, privacy is out the window. Every like if you, that's the funny part, is that dudes will still try to cheat.
Yeah, and then it shows up all over.
It shows up all over.
Yeah.
And it leaves a trail.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you, like, I'm not cheating dude, so it's not part of my makeup, so I don't get the whole, idiosyncratic behavior, but, you should be smart enough to know that if you are basically out there to become, a horny dog, that it's gonna be out there. Everybody's gonna know, look, he's doing this with this one, this with that one, and he's making advances,
and exactly, and even people are just out in public spaces and there's somebody else taking a picture of their friends, but there's somebody in the background that might be cheating on somebody.
Always somebody taking a photo. It'll come full circle, always. Yeah, so that behavior today is not, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, you're going to get found by your digital footprint.
Yeah, and the people that are taking the photo, it's just totally innocent, and they're taking a picture of their group or their whatever.
Cool. Could we agree there simply is no privacy today? Like, there's no such thing.
It's very, very, very small.
Yeah. It's I don't think there's really much privacy today at all.
And 5, how did pre-digital life shape resilience and problem solving?
Okay, well, that's an interesting one. I can answer that for me anyway. Pre-digital, you see, I'm a conversationalist. And you know this, right? Yeah. I loved talking, like, and especially if somebody, you didn't have to be the smartest person, you just had to have an opinion. Like, I could talk to anyone who has an opinion, right? I think we've lost the art of conversation. Yeah,
it's definitely decreased for sure.
Yeah, I think most people, because the medium, right, that you basically use to communicate, which is usually your cell phone or your iPod or whatever, that doesn't require much human emotional input. It simply requires answers.
Yeah.
Right? So you're actually even in a text, it's more just communicating, I don't think you could put, other than, oh, you made me mad, or you pissed me off, or, superlatives or whatever. I think mostly just that kind of, medium. I think it supports just basic communication. So if all you have is basically just, I'll meet you here at 6. You don't know if I'm excited to meet, like, you don't, you could probably guess, especially depending on our relationship. But if you're speaking to somebody on the phone, or you're speaking to them in person, and you hear their tone, right? You get a feeling of their vibe. You get a feeling that
you're like, oh, they're excited.
They're excited. I'm excited. Yeah. And I think that when you leave all of that out, your relationships don't get as rich as they do when we used to have relationships. I remember, like, if I had a date or somebody I really liked, I was, man.
You're on the phone all pumped up.
Super excited. Yeah. But today, like, let's just say, so much is done in the digital world. We had that other podcast a couple of weeks ago where we talked about basically digital interaction. And you don't know the person. It's not the same until you meet someone.
Yeah, until you physically meet them.
And you have deep conversation with them, and you actually, get to know what makes them tick. Right? You don't really know.
Yeah. So true. And it's like a different mindset too. Just back in our day, we tried to fix the things because we didn't have access to too many more things. Like, you couldn't just go and buy replacements. Whereas today, the phone's broken, throw it out. This is broken. Whereas people would fix their TVs and stuff like that.
Well, back in the day, I think we actually had appreciation for people and things.
Yeah.
We didn't just, people weren't expendable, and things weren't, replaceable.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas today it's the other way.
Yeah. Well, the biggest, one of the biggest examples of that is every year people upgrade their iPhones and their Galaxy phones.
Yeah.
Well, we're guilty of that, but there's actually, we're every 2 years for the Galaxy phone, 2-year contract for the past 10 years or something, but there's nothing wrong with the old phone.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfectly fine.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Especially yours and mine.
Yeah. We take care of them immaculately, but for some reason, we're of the mindset that, it's time to get a new one.
And then, like, instead of fixing a TV or a monitor, they just get recycled.
Well, that's the problem,
the
because I think people start looking at relationships like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the relationship, but
it requires work.
It requires a lot of work relationships, especially if you care. But for a lot of people, because of the sort of upgrade culture, they do that with people as well. Oh, I think I'll just find something new. And that's, I think, where the loss is for this generation, is that I don't believe you build anything meaningful by always switching out to something new.
No. Very true.
Not when it comes to humanity anyway. Maybe perhaps technology, because technology gets old and, apps get stale, and so you always have to have the next best thing because you get to a point of saturation. There's nothing really you could do with it anymore. And then, with, gigs moving so quickly and AI, moving at the speed of sound, you always have to basically be current. But with people, I don't think that you should treat them the same as you do your latest technological gadget. That's the problem I have with today's society. It's literally a throwaway.
Disposable.
It's disposable.
Everything's disposable. Friends, love, relationships, family, just throw them all away. If it doesn't go your way.
So anyway. But it is what it is. I mean, you don't have to be that way.
No, you can choose how you want to interact in this world.
Absolutely. Okay.
So question 6. Does having unlimited access to information actually make life easier, or is it just louder? We've gained convenience, but maybe lost clarity.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Because of the company and the stuff we do, it's essential. Could not see living without access to a lot of information. Like, you and I are pretty smart, but we don't have, sort of like, super gig, brains just storing, massive amounts of data. So you need access to that.
Yeah.
Right?
You need to be able to pull and draw on it.
Draw on it. But should I had been just working sort of a corporate environment and, just a regular job, I couldn't see the need to have.
No, it's a lot, like, all the time.
Yeah. Oh,
like you're just being bombarded with it, and I guess if you don't
utilize it or need to, why would you? Yeah.
Like, why?
Like, you and I are always trying to figure something out. Yeah. Always, like.
Yeah. There's always a lot of research.
Yeah.
So.
And so, I really, I can't answer for anybody else. I don't know. But I don't think that, in sort of, if you're just basically pursuing one particular area of study or one particular area of work, that you definitely, I don't believe you need access to, tons of data and all of this, technological information, at any given point. I think most systems are still built out where, if they're well funded and if they're well managed, you're looking at least a year, 18 months, 2 years that you could actually steadily work on a project to build it out the right way. So you could take your time and actually, especially if the company is an established company, you could go along a steady workflow. You could do research in a, sort of a timely manner. But I think if you're basically working, at a company that's breaking into new industry, not quite a startup, but, dealing with technology, you always have to be at the forefront.
Or growth. If you're trying to grow and expand your company, you got to do lots of research to figure out how to do that.
Absolutely, because you're going to get to a point where, okay, fine, you're finally basically into the money and you're starting to do well, but you can't rest on your laurels because there's somebody who's basically going to look at what you're doing and do it better. And if you're not able to adopt really quickly, you're going to basically get left behind. Look at the best example for that is Netflix, which I've been watching the past couple of days, and let me tell you, it's been good. But anyway, I digress. But the point is that Netflix, what it did to Blockbuster was, and that's really
shut down their market
entirely. right?
It didn't take that long.
No. And then look at Netflix. I mean, they're one of the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
They're huge.
Exactly. Okay, question 7.
Mm-hmm.
What can we take from 1981 and apply to 2025 so that we stay grounded instead of overwhelmed? So, any thoughts on that?
Well, what I take is basically that in 1981, and I'm so aging.
I'm not sure if I like
I'm
this
as old as dirt.
Topic. Yeah.
Oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But what I would take from that is, well, you know me. You have a good idea of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty much the same. I value relation. Like, if I like you or a group,
mm-hmm.
I like them. Like, it's not, there's no one's gonna come if I have a feeling about, like, you're my friend, like,
mm-hmm.
You've been my friend for 20 something odd years now.
Yeah.
No one's gonna come and replace that friendship. Like, if you and I get into this, knockdown, drag down fight, and it's like, I hate you. Hopefully we can work it out, but it's not going to be because somebody else comes in and,
somebody new.
I'm not built like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so, for me, I established great friendships, when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And most of those people, I don't see them anymore because they've moved on, I've moved on. But, I remember them, mm-hmm. and I remember sort of like the values that, I had growing up. And, if by rare chance I basically get to communicate with one of them, mm-hmm. it's pretty much the same. You've heard, what I mean? I mean, we spent some time at my dad's house and my family's house, mm-hmm. Last weekend. Yeah. And pretty much the same as it always, mm-hmm. was. The same energy, same... so for me, it's never really been about, replacing friends. It's basically been about fixing, mm-hmm. What you sort of your base, because I think if you lose that, you lose all sense of who you are, and then I think you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So if I were to take something from 1981, is basically just value your start. That's why I value you so much as a friend, because you've mm-hmm. been there.
Likewise.
So it's like, things get damaged, things get dented with our friendship, but I'm like,
if they didn't, then it wouldn't be a friendship.
Well, we wouldn't be growing. And so, it's just like, well, we'll get through this as well. We've been through a ton of stuff, and you sort of navigate it and you do what you have to do, because at the end of the day, basically, I'm lucky to have found a friend like you, mm-hmm. So, and they're few and far between. Yeah, few and far between. So, no, if you found a friend, or if you got a friend, or if you got friends that you care about, mm-hmm. You're wealthy. Yeah.
Exactly. And then for myself, I think the one thing that I do mm-hmm. to stay grounded is I'm trying to spend more time away from the computers at night, although that's hard because I'm working. But I'm trying to get into a routine where I read a bit, mm-hmm. or just something more, or do a little hobby or something.
Are you reading on your Kindle?
No, I'm reading the real book.
Oh, okay, so when you do your little Badawan exercises at night, are you doing them from your tablet?
Yeah. Well, the Badawan I just do because I know what the exercises are, so I don't watch anything. Okay,
no, the only reason I'm asking is because it's hard to completely zone out from that. Like, you may not be working, so I think what you're talking about is actually working or just being on the device.
Well, trying to get off the device, so trying to read a bit before I go to bed now.
Okay, so
just to stop looking at the computer, the phone.
Okay, so you have a beautiful cat. I love her to death. Shyla.
Yes.
No, so Shyla goes to bed. Sorry?
She's beautiful.
She's absolutely beautiful. So Shyla goes to bed every night, and you play her motivational speakers by...
Yeah. She loves DeAndre from Fit On.
DeAndre from Fit On. So you will literally go to bed every night listening to DeAndre from Fit On for Shyla.
Yeah.
So how's that working out for you?
So I know everything DeAndre is going to say before DeAndre says it.
No, but yeah. Okay, you digress. No, I mean, you're basically trying to unplug, but you're so plugged in.
Yeah. Well, I keep it away, but yeah.
No, but rather than trying to basically, I think what you should sort of be focused on is just you get a lot from it. It actually is. It's not a bad thing. I don't think. It's you're not substituting
it's
it
just
for
meditation.
It's meditation. I think
Shy seems to like it an awful lot.
Well, no, but I don't think there's anything wrong with actually being, like working with your device. I like if you're trying to do that, I think you get more from than waning off.
Well, if I was trying to do the meditation by myself, I'd miss sections of it.
Well,
so
but that's
can't
what it's
remember
for.
everything.
No, but that's what it's for. You literally have somebody there. They can't see in, so you could be doing it in your skivvies. And yeah, I think you have a very good routine going on. I mean, you're slimming down. You look really good. So keep it up. Don't do more of what. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's working for you, keep the devices on. Just don't start doing them. What do you call that when the webcam?
Webcam?
When you just you put a little camera on there for the general public to.
No, I'm sorry. I probably will never do that.
I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking with you. Yeah, you're not gonna do the webcam.
Anyway, like I think you have to realize that you don't have to get back to everything right away.
Yeah, exactly.
It can wait. Like, okay, so it's a text bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
You don't have to address it right away.
No,
you can address it when you have time to address it.
Technology could be our friend if it basically helps us to do more, is what I'm trying to get at. I mean, really, it's just, I really think basically if you use it in the right way for your personal development, whatever that is, I mean, I was kidding about the webcam thing, but a lot of people make a living doing that.
Yeah, works for them.
It works for them. So, they don't have to leave their house. It's relatively safe or whatever. So anyway. Yeah. Well, that's about that.
Okay, so I think we got through all the questions. And so where do you want to go with this?
With what?
Do you have an outage or do you want me to do one?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So I guess today, our topic, we're not trying to go backward, and we're trying to take the best of the quieter, simpler time and apply it in a world that's maybe a little too noisy today. But the truth is, the strength that comes from growing up before Wi-Fi are still available to us because we all get to choose them, which is what Huey and I spoke about already today on the podcast.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in, and if today's episode gave you a little bit of nostalgia and some memories of maybe different times,
that's success.
Then that definitely success. And I feel like I've aged myself a little bit on this program.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with AGBA. Listen, my view on aging is it's a privilege.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
you gotta enjoy every year of it.
Well, listen, as long as you're in a good place, that's what it's all about. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Just a number.
Exactly. Okay, so thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you next Friday.
Oh, yeah, by the way, next Friday is our special Christmas episode. We're wearing the Christmas sweaters and...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so look out for that. That's going to be
That'll
awesome.
be exciting.
Yeah. Look out for that.
I have to find that. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.